I want to pivot to some other work that you've done on specifically the UN Relief and Works Agency. I mean, I think it was a good move for Israel to remove UNRWA from Gaza. Can you talk about the legalities of this decision, and will there be blowback?
So they've not been removed just yet. But what we had in September was the passage at the very end of the month, the passage of two bills in the Israeli Knesset that provided that in 90 days' time, UNRWA would no longer be able to operate within Israeli territory and would not have the permission. It essentially revoked the permission that had previously been provided in 1967 through an exchange of letters to UNRWA to operate in territories that Israel administered. Now, the reason for that 90-day period is, as I understand it, to provide the opportunity, the window, to ensure that alternatives are in place. There are reports that currently UNRWA only actually facilitates the provision of about 13% of aid in the Gaza Strip. So these protestations that we've been hearing from around the world are entirely misplaced when they suggest that, without UNRWA, all of the humanitarian aid initiative in Gaza would ground to a halt. But it's imperative that other organizations that are on the ground, the World Food Programme, UNICEF, Save the Children included, take it upon themselves to ensure that they are picking up any slack and in fact doing the job that UNRWA should have been doing from the outset, which is looking after Palestinian civilians. It's important that we recall the reason that Israel has been forced to take this measure, not before time, and that is UNRWA's complicity with Hamas, its involvement not only in the 7th of October attacks, but subsequently in providing Hamas command and control centers with electricity, in covering up the use of UNRWA facilities as terror bases and rocket launch sites, the fact that UNRWA employees have been accused of holding hostages and committing atrocities themselves. None of this has been taken seriously by the UN authorities, by the UN Secretary General, or Philippe Lazzarini, the head of UNRWA, and enough is enough.
It is indeed enough. And of course, we've been watching this trend for something like 20 years since Hamas took over the Gaza Strip by force in 2007. UNRWA has effectively been the government while Hamas has been building military infrastructure. So I'm pleased to see, hopefully, the end of this dynamic.
I just add very briefly that it's even worse than that, because since its founding in the late 40s, UNRWA has been at the very core of the perpetuation of the conflict through its indoctrination programs. UNRWA runs schools, educated 3/4 of the terrorists that crossed the border on the 7th of October, and generation after generation of Palestinian has been indoctrinated in the context of this Palestinian Authority-approved curriculum. To embrace terrorism and believe that killing as many Jews as possible is the highest calling in life. UNRWA is perhaps the biggest obstacle to any progress towards peace.
Oh, agreed. And of course, let's not forget the way that UNRWA counts refugees. Somehow, this population is among the only in the world that has increased that refugee population, even as the original refugees from 1948 have passed on. They've been counting the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren of refugees. So the proliferation of the problem, that also lies at the feet of UNRWA, and that needs to change as well.
Thanks for watching. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and hit subscribe to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, stay informed and inspired. This is DaJobnik signing off.